Thank you for inviting me here. Special thanks to the Lehman Foundation and to all the organizers and to the translators for doing such a really good job making sure that our presentations are accessible to everyone and that us folks who don't understand any Portuguese can understand the perspectives coming here from Brazil. So I'm Nate Otto. I'm the director of the Badge Alliance, which is an organization promoting the use of open badges and developing the open badges standard for portable digital credentials. And so I'll tell you a little bit more about open badges and why I think they might be a really good fit for some of the new types of data that's coming at us with the new assessments that are available, and how we might be addressing some of the challenges that are facing the new assessment ecosystem going forward. Okay, so these are digital badges. They are visual symbols of particular accomplishments, whether that accomplishment means a skill that someone has developed or a experience they participated in, or in this case, several of these are badges I earned for contributing to communities. And any of these badges can represent a valuable component in a student's learning pathway and a meaningful experience to them that they would want to share with others. So digital badges have been around for a long time. You find them often in game platforms. Many different online course platforms have developed their own systems of digital badges. But the innovation that has come forward from the Mozilla Foundation, supported by the MacArthur Foundation, is open digital badges. And open badges are a particular kind of digital badges that package information according to a commonly used data specification. So it's a common language for data about learning and about achievements. They are, not only do they describe the achievement in a richer way than just the symbolic image can. You see these have names and issuers, but they're also verifiable. So if you present a badge to me that you've earned, I can tell not only when it was issued and what its name is and what its description is, but I can tell that that truly does belong to you and that it is a verifiable accomplishment verified by the issuing organization. Any organization can issue those badges. So this is the sort of data that you can get from inside an open badge. You get a name, description, the time it was issued, but then also you notice at the bottom there are hyperlinks. There are links to other websites with even more information about the badge, and that comes in the form of detailed criteria about the achievement and also rich evidence that the student may have produced. And evidence is an optional component, so if there has been an assessment that collects the right kind of data for one of these badges, you can present that together with the criteria and really tell a rich story about what it took to, how the student went about learning the material and demonstrating achievement of that badge. So I want to show you a couple examples of where open badges are being used around the world and how they're connecting learning stories from students' early beginnings, maybe in formal education, also to their achievements outside of school, and as they become adults and move out into the workforce. So starting in formal education, this is an example here from near the Los Angeles area. A school district decided to issue badges for all sorts of different achievements inside their school. And as every student went through their curriculum, they earned badges into Passport, and then when they went to go and apply for colleges or universities, they could take this passport of badges, show them to those admissions offices, and those admissions offices could get a better sense of what was accomplished in that student's learning journey through school. So out of school, there's other opportunities for earning badges. And so the After School Alliance, which is an organization that is a collaboration of out-of-school learning providing programs in the United States, put out a report with a bunch of different examples of how badges can be used after school and how they can tell a richer story about what the students' accomplishments are than just the data that comes out of the formal school day. And another example outside of school, which I'll talk a little bit more about later, is the Cities of Learning program. These are geographically co-located programs where a bunch of different after-school programs and in museums and libraries in one city join together to all issue digital badges, open badges, to their students who are learning. And those students can bring back to their schools a full picture of what they did during the summer of learning and showing the full range of their accomplishments and especially their interests, which programs that were available out there that those students were interested in pursuing. So these are 4 of the cities who are the initial partners following from Chicago in 2012, expanding to these 4 through 2014. This year, Los Angeles has taken a break, but Chicago, Dallas, and Pittsburgh are full steam ahead, and next year we'll see a further expansion of the cities of learning. And so look forward to announcements coming out about that in the fall. Another example, moving on in the student's learning journey, comes from higher ed. And the higher education institutions that we've been talking to are really interested in using badges to represent the skills and competencies that are developing in their programs. And these are often complementary credentials to the traditional diplomas and transcripts that are generated by college coursework. These are often referring to skills that were developed and experiences that students had that maybe crossed the boundaries between different courses, showing that maybe a student has developed work in 2 different courses that built together to be one badge that they could present, rather than confining each of their achievements to what they could get done in a single term with a single instructor and another, a single set of projects and partners. And then beyond the formal higher education world, there is a whole world of open learning, experiences online that are choosing to use open badges to recognize learning that is happening on their platforms that previously was not recognized by any credential at all. And so we see examples here from the peer-to-peer university where anyone can go online, define a course, build a community around it, and issue badges for the learning that happens in that course. And then also Code School, organizations that are providing a set of learning experiences on their online platform and choosing to represent the achievements and the time students are investing in those programs in the form of open digital badges. And then we also have, out in the workforce, we have programs like RWA Consulting here who have decided to issue badges for the achievements that they're recognizing for workforce development. And there's a bunch of other programs developing around the world to help people get ready for jobs by indicating with open badges the skills that they need to apply for those jobs, helping those people gather credentials together into open badge portfolios that they can present when they go and apply for an opportunity like employment. And then we also see open badges integrating more deeply into applications that are used for learning in all of these environments. So the example here is a platform I helped develop at Concentric Sky called Badger, embedded inside the Canvas learning management system. Canvas is used by many universities to organize the courses, provide syllabus and forums for discussion, assignments and grading, all these capabilities of courses. And now we're seeing tools like open badges through Badger embedded in those environments. So Badger automatically issues open badges whenever students complete the objectives of the course. And so the teachers who are using the tools that they already have available to them for assessment are able to turn those into credentials that students can take out into the world. So the whole idea around open badges is that anyone can issue open badges and anyone can earn them. This is a completely open marketplace where if an education provider wants to start up and they want to use badges, get a little recognition for their work, they can get started right away using one of the free or open source platforms that are available, or work with a partner organization to build a badge program that fits for them. And so the idea is that using open badges instead of the sort of more traditional closed badges, students are able to combine the achievements that they have earned in many different parts of their life into one story that they can present to the audiences that matter to them. They can bring, like in this example, someone who's taken courses in an after-school program or in a free online course and then gotten a badge from a government agency. They can combine all of these and tell a story about who it was that they interacted with, what learning they accomplished, and this story is verifiable so that anyone who's looking at it who has open badge tools can tell that, yes, this person earned these badges, here's the evidence of their work that they did. This supports connecting learning across different environments and really building a complete picture of a learner as someone who doesn't stop learning when they leave school. This is a learner who is learning throughout their entire lifetime, building on the achievements that they've had before. And so the Open Badges ecosystem is special because we have tools like there's the Mozilla Open Badge Backpack, and then other new tools coming in like the Open Badge Passport and Badger that are all interoperable, and meaning they can take in badges from any issuer and present them together. And then you can, from there, go out and embed them into many different places where it's important for you to be sharing your digital credentials. So, for example, I would have badges on my own personal website, but I would also share them through social media channels as I earn them. So that people who follow me and want to interact with me can tell what programs I'm involved with and where they might want to go for learning opportunities. So the potential of the Open Badge ecosystem is not really about being able to issue badges to anyone. That's a great feature. But the real potential is to be able to understand the learning journeys that other people have encountered and understand someone else's experience, even when they have taken part in experiences that you were previously unfamiliar with. But there's a problem with that in that we allow anyone to issue open badges. And that means that many organizations that are offering programs that were not vetted by accreditors or, there's no assurance that there is an absolute level of quality just because something is recognized with an open badge. But we're working to solve this. The question is, how can you tell a badge should mean something to you? If I come and I present you a badge that I've earned, how will you know that the organization that provided it to me in the United States is a credible organization that you should trust, or is if it's just someone running out of their garage who's just sort of essentially printing diplomas? We've had many scandals in the United States where people have had to resign because they have had a fake college degree hanging on their wall for years, and they eventually someone eventually discovers, oh, this is a fake degree, or this was issued by an organization who didn't do a good job vetting it. So what we want to build next in the Open Badges ecosystem are tools that help you understand the value of badges, and especially the value of those badges within the context of what you understand, within the skill systems that you know about already. So for example, this is one of the badges that I have. It's for being a new coder, so an Intro to Programming badge. And I earned this from an organization called the Badge List Coders Group. You might not recognize that organization, and you might not know what it takes to become a new coder. As it turns out, very little. This is an introductory badge. But we want to be able to move from seeing a badge to being able to really understand, what it took to take this, to be able to understand on a quick level that, oh yeah, this is an opportunity that's available to anyone to just go and take their first programming lesson, post a little bit of evidence about what they did, and then get recognized for their just taking the first steps into the world of programming. And the question about badge value is that there is not one single level of value of a badge. I can't say that badge was worth $200. That wouldn't make sense. There is no single market to mediate the value of a badge. Instead, there are many different perspectives that play on that value, and everyone's perspective has its own weight. And as a consumer, you have to understand who is appreciating badges, who knows about them, and then how the understanding within your network of trust can play on what you should think of the badge and how it might be useful to you. And so I say everyone has a perspective on badge value. And there are 3 different parties in the ecosystem that I want to focus on. Those are the issuers of the badge who've decided in the first place that this is a worthy achievement to try and issue a badge around, as well as the earners who've decided this is an important achievement to me and an important part of my learning journey that I want to share with others. And then the third party is who I call the consumers, the person who is looking at the badge. So if I go to you and I present several badges for a job opportunity, you would be the consumer, and you would have to decide whether you're going to buy my story, whether you're going to buy these badges and maybe turn them back into a real-world opportunity, like a job for me or an internship or a new collaboration. And so the idea is that every individual builds their own learning pathways. And if we build tools to help understand those learning pathways, we can scale up the understanding and fit that understanding within our own networks of trust. So if we can tell that an organization that we already know about and trust has endorsed some badges that I've earned, and they fit within a skill framework that you already understand, you can tell those badges will have meaning for you in a way that you would have had to investigate and decide for yourself otherwise. So there was a project funded by the Gates Foundation and offered through Mozilla, led by several fine folks in the Badge Alliance last year, called the Pathways Project. And they built this product called Discover, where people can go and display some pathways. And this is an interesting start on this journey, and I think illustrates a few interesting things about how we might build the next generation of tools to define learning pathways and see how people are moving through them. In this tool that they built, they interviewed several people who had interesting careers and asked them how they progressed from their early learning to having a job that young people might be very interested in. And so they built these little fake badges. They defined badges for each of the different experiences that several of these interviewees had across their schooling. And you can see some formal credentials in there. There's a high school degree up here. I'm sorry, this isn't translated. And there's also some very informal credentials mixed in together. And this is what the individual felt was their representation of their learning journey from early schooling to having a worthwhile career. And there's a couple different types of pathways, sort of shapes, that I'd like to highlight. The first is, this is a linear pathway. There are several points, steps along the pathway, or nodes, and they're in order, and you progress through them in order to complete the pathway. And another model might be a cluster, where it's the same thing. There are several steps or nodes, but there's no predefined order to what set you need to take them in. And so our idea for learning pathways in the Badge Alliance over the next year is that we're going to define a specification to publish learning pathways in the same way that anyone can issue open badges, anyone can issue a learning pathway. And then other folks who issue open badges can say that their badges align to different points on the pathway. And so for an earner, if an earner wants to describe a pathway, it would be very much like that Mozilla tool, where the earner could say, here is my learning journey. Take a look at the different badges and different points that were along that journey. Maybe some of them are open badges and some of them are just descriptions of experiences they had that did not have an open badge associated with them. But you can still define, here's the pathway, here's how I got to where I am, and how it qualifies me for the opportunity that you might be presenting me tomorrow. An issuer might use the Pathways tool to say, here are the learning opportunities we offer as part of a program. For an example, this is the 3D Game Lab Planet Stewards badge system. This is not yet built using a Pathways specification, but they have a platform that guides students through discovering careers in planet science, so like climatology and marine biology and study of weather. And the students progress through this pathway in the platform. What we're saying is next year we can publish learning pathways in a way that it's not just this one platform that can understand them. We can build the understanding of the pathways into the ecosystem so that many different tools can understand the document and how to present badges that are fitting together. A consumer might find an interesting way to publish a pathway like this. A consumer could say, we're looking for an employee who has these set of skills. And it could be a cluster model. We want someone who has these skills that we've defined. And then an earner who wants to say that, yes, I have these skills, I'm going to apply for the job. They could publish their own copy of that learning pathway, including the badges that they've earned at each of those points, basically submitting it into a tool that says, here is why I qualify for your program in terms of verifiable credentials with evidence attached, so that you don't have to make any phone calls to see what I've done to earn this achievement. Just go into the program and here the badges are lined up right against the requirements that you published that you said you already care about. So a pathway it will be written in code in JSON, but in a visual representation, it might look like this, where each step on a pathway aligns with one educational objective that you think a student might need to know in order to learn a subject area. So for the example that Kim used with the area, they identified 4 different components of learning, how to measure area and how to understand how it applies to different, shapes within 2-dimensional geometry. This is another example from one of the well-known organizations that issues badges for 100 years in the United States, the Boy Scouts. They have a robotics merit badge, and you can earn this merit badge if you have completed this learning pathway. You have to learn first about the safety of the equipment and the concepts of robotics that you're going to be working with, do some background research on the robotics industry and history of how robotics came to be. Build some general knowledge around robotics, and then you get to the really interesting part where you design and build, write the program for, and then test your robot to make sure that it does what you expect. And then from there, more fun parts, you demonstrate your robot to audiences of your parents and your peers and perform in competitions. And then the last step is to investigate how your research into robotics can apply to different careers in the expanding field. And so you do a little bit of career research. When you've done all of these 6 steps, a boy who's participating in the program can earn the robotics merit badge. And similarly, with the issuer pathways that we think folks will want to issue in the coming year, we can say that an issuer will say, here are the different steps involved in the learning program I'm offering, and here is the completed badge that you earn when you finish. So for example, if the Boy Scouts published this as an Open Badges learning pathway, and a student found several other robotics programs that they were interested in, they could do the Boy Scout program first, and then maybe do the first robotics program in their high school, and bring in badges from multiple locations, and say that, hey, these badges are aligned all to these pathways. I've got even more evidence of my achievement in robotics. So what we are going to release in the Badge Alliance is a specification for how to build learning pathways and how to release them so that we can make all this understanding of learning possible. And so I'll tell you a little bit about the Badge Alliance and how you might be able to participate in the coming years. So the Badge Alliance was formed by the MacArthur Foundation and the Mozilla Foundation, and now has spun off from the Mozilla Foundation. It's a network of individuals and organizations who are looking to build technology collaboratively, to build this, a specification for learning pathways together, so that we each don't have to build our own, and that we can understand how badges work across the entire ecosystem. And so we have some shared values, including, as I wrote here, openness, learner agency or autonomy, and innovation, which fits very well with the conference theme here. So hopefully we'll find some good partners. The different types of organizations that are involved in the Badge Alliance include educators who are offering learning programs, academics, folks from research universities who are studying how badges work, and how they can be motivating and how they best integrate into learning platforms and into curriculum. And then also policymakers from government deciding how new types of organizations who are offering credentials for new knowledge, how they may be integrated into society, and how we may understand those credentials from a legal perspective, and how they might get supported in terms of government funding. We also have excellent funding from foundations, including the MacArthur Foundation, has provided a lot of the startup support for badges. And then we also have a category I'm particularly fond of, which is the pragmatic idealist developer. And these are organizations that build software. They want to do it open source, and they want to build with open values because they see the value of having an open ecosystem for credentials. Because our students need this, and because it produces great value for the all the different partners in the ecosystem here. So in the first year of the Badge Alliance, we had 650 organizations sign up. We're still growing and interested in you joining as well. We would definitely like to expand beyond the United States, Canada, and Europe, and Australia and New Zealand, where badges currently are very strongly represented. And one of the things that we are going to do to make it more possible to expand is to introduce translations into the technology in the next year. And so we'll be able to publish badges in multiple languages and have them be able to be understood in the language that you prefer to view them in, to be able to crowdsource those translations when necessary as well. And so I have several different methods. You can contact us at the Badge Alliance, and feel free to reach out to me anytime later today through the rest of the event. Thanks so much for joining me. Yeah. And then, one more thing. Sorry to interrupt the applause, but there's another option for participating in the badges ecosystem that is also really special, is to build local networks around badges. And the Badge Alliance also likes to support all these other local groups that have formed to build with badges, and we would love to see some form in Brazil. And if you have any questions or are interested in starting a local group to investigate using open badges and to support each other, definitely talk to me, because I think that's a very exciting possibility for how to use badges. Thank you again.